Welcome to our championship week preview for the Detroit News High School football show. I'm Rod Beard, and I'm joined by Tom Markowski. And Tom, we're at the end of another great season, but it seems like deja vu all over again. We've got Groundhog Day in November with a lot of these teams coming back from last year's championship week and making a reappearance here.
Yeah, it's same old faces, it seems like. We thought maybe that there'd be some different teams this time around, but it seems like the same coaches and the same uniforms will be on that field in Ford Field this year.
We've got 5 local teams that we're going to talk about in 5 different divisions. Start out with the Friday games. 4 games, by the way, each of the days, Friday and Saturday, for you to enjoy. Started in Division 2, Muskegon playing Birmingham Brother Rice. Brother Rice, of course, the defending champion in Division 2. Muskegon coming in at 12-1 is going to be a tougher battle for them.
Yeah, I like Muskegon in this game, and it's kind of funny in a way that they opened with the Central Division team, and Orchard Lake St. Mary's beat them 21-14. And now they end with Brother Rice out of the Central Division. It's funny, Shane Fairfield, the coach from Muskegon, says, it doesn't matter to us. We'll play anybody. We'll play Alabama. And it was like, I don't know where that came from, but Brother Rice is not Alabama, by the way. This is a good Brother Rice team. I don't think it's a great Brother Rice team. Defensively, they're very good. In fact, they might be one of the best in the state, top 5, top 3. But Muskegon, I think, has enough firepower with their running game and their offensive and defensive lines to control this game.
Yeah, I think Muskegon's going to be a little bit tougher, Brother Rice, to handle as well. They, like you said, this isn't the typical Rice team or the prototypical Rice team that we see every 5 or 6 years or so that's really dominant. This is just a really good team that did well in that Central Division, and we had them as a #1 team in the preseason. They just slowed down a little bit, and it turns out they're not as talented maybe as we thought in the beginning.
Yeah, they don't really have a game breaker. There hasn't been that real star that would break an 80-yard run and stuff, things of that nature. Their offense has done what they needed to do to get here. I just don't know if they have enough offensive power to get past Muskegon.
Absolutely. Move on to Division 4. This game is going to be at 7:30 p.m. Friday night. Grand Rapids South Christian at 10-3, playing Detroit Country Day at 11-2, and Country Day, a team that really had an easy time against Swan Valley last week.
Surprisingly easy time. Week before, Swan Valley really took it to Croswell Lexington, an undefeated team at that time. I had a chance to see Country Day in round 2 of the playoffs, and they were anything but a state championship type of team. But Dan McLean told me at that time, once in a while, when you make a long run, you have to get by one of those games where you're not at your best. And they did get past that game, and they're playing very well the last 2 weeks. South Christian's an interesting team. They're a little bit like West Catholic, another team that's out of Grand Rapids in the state championship. And they're somewhat like the teams out of the Central Division in the Catholic League. Just get us in the playoffs. We don't care if we have 3 losses. We can do well. And they play a tough schedule. South Christian's going to put up a good battle here. And it's not, I like Country Day in this game, but South Christian's not going to go down without a fight. And they're used to really playing good teams. I don't think this is going to be a blowout. In fact, I wouldn't be that surprised to see South Christian win this game.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Country Day on this one, though. And one of the compelling things about this group of teams in the finals is that there's really only a handful of teams that have no losses, maybe only 1 in Loyola. Most of these teams have 2, have 3. In Catholic Central's case, they have 4. Country Day with 2. So it kind of shows really your point. Just get in the playoffs. You can make a run. You get by that one tough opponent you have, and you might be able to streak your way toward the final like a lot of these teams have done. Get to the Saturday games. Division 7, we talked about one of those undefeated teams, Detroit Loyola. They're playing Ishpeming, which is 12-1. This is a 10 a.m. game. And we said last week that Loyola may have some trouble with Flint Beecher, and that just didn't happen at all. It was a blowout game for Loyola, and they're really streaking their way toward what looks like a state championship.
Yeah, they're my best bet this week. They're playing so well. I think if they were even in Division 6, they would put up a good fight there and might win that division. They've just got too much power. They're too big. They're too fast. And the thing is, they're going to be better next year. They only play 4 seniors. So, if they're going to lose in the state championship run, so to speak, it's going to have to be Saturday, because I can't see them losing next year.
Yeah, and they've really built that program up over a couple of years. And as the Catholic League's Central Division has been really the highlight of that. Now they're another team that you can watch that they've been building toward this type of success, and now they're really at the crescendo, and now they've got to really bring this one home. Big game that everyone really is looking forward to, the Division 1 game on Saturday at 1 o'clock. It's a rematch of what we saw last year, which, again, we thought was going to be a really close game with Catholic Central and Cass Tech. CC coming in this year at 9-4, Cass Tech 11-2, and it's just you think it's going to be a little bit different, but a lot of the stuff really hasn't gone any script at all.
Well, it's kind of like role reversals here, because last year it was Catholic Central that most people thought would win this game. This year it's Cass Tech that most people think are going to win this game. And I think Catholic Central likes it that way. But you know, I'm sure Catholic Central, now that they're in the championship game, are happy that they're playing Cass Tech to try to remove that memory of them getting blitzed last year in the state final. They'll never say that, but do you know that they want Cass Tech in this championship game? That being said, be careful what you wish for. This Cass Tech team might even be better than last year's team. For one, you have a quarterback that did so well last year as a freshman, is now a sophomore. Their offensive and defensive lines are playing extremely well, and their speed players like Jordan Lewis are game breakers. So I like Cass Tech, and maybe 7 to 10 points in this one.
Yeah, I was tempted to go with this as my best bet as well. I think it's finally time to give Thomas Wilcher some credit, where there were a few years in there where he didn't get any of the accolades because his teams just didn't perform well. He had a lot of individual talent, but he just didn't have what it took to pull them together and be cohesive. Now I think he's figured that out, and that's a key thing for coaches. You can have all the talent in the world, but if you don't do anything with it, you're just a run-of-the-mill coach. What he's been able to figure out is, let's do some things. Let's have these guys have camp before in the summertime or right before they start practice. Let's build the team instead of just having a bunch of individuals out there. And I think it's really starting to pay off. And this could go down as one of the better powerhouse teams in the PSL history that we've seen because of the runs that they're making to the semis, to the championship last year, and potentially another one this year.
I think you're right. And I think what I like about Wilcher and his teams recently is their preparation throughout the week. They come into their games. You know, granted, they had some slip-ups during the year at Orchard Lake St. Mary's and in the PSL semifinals against King. But we always thought that they would come up for the, big moments, and these are the big moments. Last week I had a chance to see them again against Lake Orion, and I thought they played a better game than Lake Orion. They had no turnovers. They weren't really making mistakes. Now, funny thing about this, early in the game, Lake Orion, on each of their first 3 possessions, had a legal procedure penalty. Doesn't seem like much, but when you're trying to start a drive, especially somebody like Cass Tech's defense, that's not a good position to be in at 1st and 15 or 2nd and 15. It was Lake Orion making those mistakes. It wasn't Cass Tech. This is a different Cass Tech team, like you mentioned, in the last 3 or 4 years. Yeah,
and I think the run last year is what's really going to help them this year, because now they see that it's possible and something that they can do. Last game we want to get to, the Division III game, Grand Rapids Christian, 12-1. Orchard Lake St. Mary's, the defending champion in Division III. The third of our defending champions coming back. I think we'll get 2 out of 3. I think Cass and St. Mary's will be the 2 that repeat.
Well, I like Grand Rapids Christian in this one. In fact, I almost made them my best bet. They are loaded. But the reason I didn't take them, because St. Mary's is St. Mary's. And what I mean by that is they're going to try to play their game, which is a grind it out, keep the ball away from the other team type of mentality. And they're very, very good at that. I always see this as the dessert at the end of the weekend. The Division III game, last game of the season, is usually a real interesting game. Thank goodness, because we've sat through the 7 previous ones. We need something to keep us going. And I expect this one to be very good. If St. Mary's is going to win, it's going to have to be something like a 21-17 game. They get into the high 20s and into the 30s. That's Christian all the way.
Well, we've seen those epic battles with St. Mary's and East Grand Rapids over the years. How many was that? 5 overtime games. And I think it's just something special about St. Mary's getting to this point. If they can make it to the championship game, they're going to be a special team. And I think this is the team that we've counted out a lot this year against Cass Tech, against in the Catholic League. We said that maybe we'll see, but they've made it back to this point, much like Cass Tech. I think really just getting here and what they went through last year is going to propel them and be able to get them to a championship.
If they do win St. Mary's, that'll be back-to-back in the Catholic League and back-to-back in the state championship.
Doesn't happen a lot.
That's pretty darn good.
Doesn't happen a lot. Well, again, you can see all of our coverage online at detnews.com. You can read Tom's stories throughout the weekend at all of the championship games. If you get a chance, certainly go down to Ford Field, root on your favorite team, or just go down and enjoy the festivities there. For Tom Markowski, we've had a great season.
Yes.
Congratulations on winning the picks again this year, and we'll see you next year.